Jared and his dad, Joe, they were playing a game of catch one afternoon when Jared asked the question. But no, it wasn't where do babies come from. It was more troubling and more difficult to answer than that. Jared says to Dad, "Dad, is there a God?" And Joe, Dad, remembered having that same helpless feeling as he experienced on the high school baseball team when he lost sight of a fly ball in the blazing sun. He didn't know whether to move forward, backwards, or just stay put. And a string of trite answers went through his mind, and in the end he opted for honesty, and he replied, "I don't know, Jared." But Joe's agnosticism failed to stifle that young boy's curiosity. Is there a God? So Jared dug a little deeper, talking to his father. He said, "If there is a God, how would you know him?" Dad replies, "I really have no idea. You see, I only went to church a couple times when I was a kid, so I don't know a lot about those kind of things, son." Jared seemed deep in thought for a few minutes as that game continued, and suddenly he headed for the house. And he yells back over his shoulder, "I'll be right back, Dad. I've got to get something." He returned in a moment or two with a Mylar balloon that was fresh from the circus they had attended the day before. He also had in his hand a pen and index card. And "Jared, what in the world are you doing?" Dad asked. "I'm going to send a message to God, airmail," the boy earnestly replied. And before Joe could protest, Jared started writing on the index card, "Dear God, if you are real, and if you are there, send people who know you to Dad and me." Dad kept his mouth shut, not wanting to dampen his young son's enthusiasm. This is silly, he thought, and as he helped Jared fasten the card to the balloon string, Dad's thinking, "But God, I hope you're watching," as he added that to his own silent petition. After Jared let go of the balloon, father and son stood with their faces to the sky and they watched it sail away. 2 days later, Joe and Jared drove into a free car wash that a church was holding as part of their outreach in the community. "How much does it cost?" Joe asked as he approached that line of buckets and sponges and hoses. "It's free," the guy told him, "no strings attached." "Really?" Joe exclaimed. He was intrigued by getting something for nothing. "But why are you doing this?" The answer, "We just want to show you God's love in a practical way." It was as if that simple statement opened a hidden door to Joe's heart. The look on his face must have been incredible because he shouted back, "Wait a minute. Are you guys Christians?" "Yeah, we're Christians," the man replied. To which Joe asked, "Are you the kind of Christians who believe in God?" The man couldn't help but smile. "Yeah, we're that kind of Christians." After directing a big grin at Jared, Joe proceeded to tell the story of releasing the helium balloon with the message on it only days earlier. And he says to the man, "I guess you're the answer to one of the strangest prayers God's ever received." True story told by Steve Sogren. Steve is a Methodist, a veteran evangelist, and a church planter. And in some circles, he's considered the father of servant evangelism. And the story I just shared actually happened real close by, Cincinnati, at a church he and his wife helped to plant. That church is committed to servant evangelism. And Steve, in his book, defines servant evangelism as demonstrating the kindness of God by offering to do some act of humble service with no strings attached. Today we're going to look at 3 principles of how to share Jesus in practical ways. Principle number 1. Do the small thing to show the main thing of God's love at work. Do the small thing to show the main thing of God's love at work. And we can go to Matthew 10:42, and it's very simple. Matthew 10:42, it's simply giving a cup of cold water. And it reads, "And if anyone gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones who is my disciple, truly I tell you, that person will certainly not lose their reward." A cup of cold water is it's one of the smallest gifts that anyone can give. A cup of cold water is precious to a person who is really, really thirsty. In some instances, it might even be the gift of life. And yes, while we would prefer in the game of life to be that quarterback, to be that hero, God's heart leans towards the water boy, the water girl. Providing a cup of water is really a valid vocation, because God rewards even the smallest contribution. Jesus does not specify the nature of the reward for those who help little ones, but only assures us of its certainty. A man by the name of John Bowes, chairman of the parent company of Wham-O, which is actually the maker of Frisbees and hula hoops. He once participated in a charity effort, and he sent thousands of those plastic flying discs to an orphanage in Angola, Africa. And he had in his mind a picture of those children enjoying playing with those Frisbees. And several months later, he sent a representative of his company over to visit the orphanage, and one of the nuns thanked him for the wonderful plates that his company had sent them. She told him how the children were eating off of the Frisbees, carrying water with them, and even catching fish with them. And the representative explained how the Frisbees were intended to be used. The nun was even more delighted that the children would also be able to enjoy them as toys. It's the way it is. We never really know what small act of kindness will touch and transform life. But God does. And God gives us a hint of that impact. That doing the small thing to show the main thing of God's love at work. And we can see that in Matthew 25. Verses 35 to 40 reads, "Then the king will say to those on his right, 'My Father has blessed you. Come and receive the kingdom that was prepared for you before the world was created. When I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. And when I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I was a stranger, you welcomed me. When I was naked, you gave me clothes to wear. When I was sick, you took care of me. When I was in jail, you visited me.' Then the ones who pleased the Lord will ask, 'When did we give you something to eat or drink? When did we welcome you as a stranger or give you clothes to wear or visit you while you were sick in jail?' The king will answer, 'Whenever you did it for any of my people, no matter how important they seemed, you did it for me.'" Principle number 2. Simple acts done with great love will change the world. Simple acts done with great love will change the world. Jesus was once asked what it meant to love one's neighbor. And now the guy that was asking the questions, he figured that he was already doing this, so he was hoping to look good in front of the others. And instead, Jesus tells the story of the Good Samaritan, the story we all know. And then Jesus asked the question at the end of telling that story of, who do you think was a neighbor to the man? The answer, the one who was kind enough to help him. Baron de Rothschild, one of the richest men who ever lived, a member of the Rothschild banking family, In Paris, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, bankers are rich. Legend has it, the Baron once posed before an artist as a beggar. And while the artist, Ari Scheffer, was painting him, the financier sat before him in rags and tattered clothes, holding a tin cup. A friend of the artist came through the room, and the Baron was so well disguised in what he was wearing that he was not recognized by anyone. And thinking he was really a beggar, the visitor dropped a coin into the cup. Fast forward 10 years. The man who gave the coin to Rothschild that day received a letter containing a bank order or a check for 10,000 francs with the following message written in it. You one day gave a coin to Baron de Rothschild in the studio of Ari Scheffer. He has invested it, and today sends you the capital which you entrusted to him, together with the compounded interest. A good action always brings good fortune. Signed, Baron de Rothschild. That's what Jesus tells us in Matthew 10:42. I can guarantee this truth. Whoever gives any of my humble followers a cup of cold water, because that person is my disciple, will certainly never lose his reward. Even a cup of cold water, says the Master, given to one of his little ones, will be rewarded. Giving. Giving is at the very heart of our Christian faith. Just the first part of John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he, what? He gave. God's desire is to use you and me with simple acts done with great love that will change the world. God's simple act of Christ's death offers to change our world and invites us to reach out. Something as simple as a cup of cold water, something as simple as baby bottles and diapers and formula. Simple acts done with great love will change the world. Principle number 3. Realize that my service power is not based on who I am, but who Jesus is through me. Yeah, we can get caught up in the guilt of not doing enough and not showing enough of God's love, or feeling horribly inadequate about how our love might seem to others around us. There's the problem. The problem is we try to love under our own power. And when the power to share Jesus in practical ways, it really comes from Christ himself. And Paul knew this. Even when he was in prison, Paul knew this, and he wrote to us, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. The power of the life we live in love toward God and others flows out of God working through our hearts. My service power is not based on who I am, but who Jesus is through me. Think of the prayer the night before Jesus died, his prayer in John 17:21. The goal is for all of them to become one heart and mind, just as you, Father, are in me and I in you, so they might be one heart and mind with us.